So can you contribute to both a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA? All right, the short answer is yes, you can do both, but you only get a cumulative limit each year of $6,500 in 2023 if you're under 50, and then if you're 50 and over, the IRS gives you up to $7,500 to contribute to an IRA. So let's say you contribute $2,000 to a Roth, that leaves you $4,500 that you could contribute to a Roth or to a traditional IRA. Now, clearly the IRS doesn't want you to have too much of a good thing, but just because you can only contribute $6,500 to IRAs doesn't mean there aren't other places for you to save for retirement. In this video, we'll talk more about the IRA limitations around contributions, and then we'll talk about options you can pursue after that to save money in a tax-efficient manner for retirement. Since you're watching this video, you already know that IRAs offer a lot for savers and investors in terms of retirement and tax advantage efficiency specifically. And that's also why there are limitations on how much you can contribute to them. Anytime you put something out there that involves an advantage for taxes, everybody wants to take advantage of it. So the IRS had to put some restrictions in place so that we can't abuse or overuse this tax advantage opportunity. So like we already said, in 2023, you can contribute up to $6,500 cumulatively to traditional or Roth IRA accounts, and that amount goes up to $7,500 if you're 50 or older. So for example, in 2023, if you contribute $3,000 to a Roth IRA, you'd only have $3,500 left to contribute to a traditional IRA. Now, this is per person, to be clear. The IRS always looks at IRA accounts as individual accounts. There's no such thing as a combined or married jointly IRA account. Your spouse gets one, you get one. So that's one way you can kind of double the amount, if you will. But beyond that, you're limited to the annual max. Okay, with those limitations in mind, let's take a closer look at traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs and talk about some of the nuances and differences between each. All right, first off, traditional IRAs are tax-deferred accounts, which basically means when you make a contribution to a traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction for whatever you put in it. The earnings inside the account can then be invested and grow completely tax-free until you reach retirement age. When you begin making withdrawals from a traditional IRA, you pay tax on the entire balance. So if you put $10,000 in and one day it grows to $100,000, you're going to be taxed on the $100,000, not 10. Now, the benefits of a traditional IRA are that tax-deferred growth. There's also the tax deduction you get from the outset. And third, you get control over when you make withdrawals in retirement. So it's kind of a lever, if you will, in your retirement tax strategy. There is a nuance to traditional IRAs I want to mention quickly. There are limitations on the ability to contribute to a traditional IRA based on your income. So if you make too much money or you have access to an employer-sponsored plan and make too much money, basically you can be prevented from making contributions on a tax-deferred basis. However, anyone can make contributions to a traditional IRA on an after-tax basis. Now you may ask yourself, why would anyone want to do that? If you do it on an after-tax basis, you lose the tax deduction on the contribution, and any withdrawals are still subject to tax one day, at least on the portions that realize gains and earnings. The only example I can think of is if you want to do a backdoor Roth IRA. We've got a whole nother video which I'll link above, but basically this is a way to contribute to a Roth IRA even if your income is too high. You can go to our website and read a post about it. We'll link it below, or you can watch the video for more details on that. All right, so we touched on contribution limits already just a little bit. We've got a table now on your screen that kind of shows what those ranges are and brackets are and income levels are. Basically, if you're single and your modified adjusted gross income is below $73,000, you can contribute the max. Between $73,000 and $83,000, you're going to phase out using an IRS calculation that basically reduces or prorates the amount you can contribute in an annual basis. And then at $83,000, you're going to be phased out entirely. Now, if you're married filing jointly, if your income is under $218,000, that's your modified adjusted gross income, excuse me. If it's under $218,000, you can make a full contribution. If your income is between $218,000 and $228,000, you got that phase out calculation. And finally, if it's over $228,000, you're not allowed to make a contribution. So for Roth IRAs, the contribution limitations based on income are the same for married filing jointly. However, if you're single, your modified adjusted gross income can be all the way up to $138,000 before you face that phase out. The top of that range is $153,000. Anything over that, you won't be able to contribute at all. And I also want to point out that these contribution limits don't apply to SEP or simple IRAs. It's just for Roths. Okay, we promised that we'd talk about other retirement account options if you can't contribute to an IRA or you've exhausted that option, you want to contribute more. The first is your employer-sponsored plans, 401ks, 403s, 457s, thrift savings plan, whatever you have, where you work. That would be the next option. All of those accounts generally have a contribution limit up to $22,500 in 2023. Or $30,000 if you're 50 or older. And then beyond that, you can contribute on an after-tax basis even higher, up to $66,000 in 2023 if you're under 50, and then $73,500 if you're 50 and older. And this should be the first place you go, quite frankly, for retirement saving if your employer offers a matching program of some sort. So if they give you a dollar for dollar match, or even a percentage of each dollar, say 50%, 20%, whatever, odds are that return is going to outweigh any gains you receive in the market, so go for it. Another place to consider is health savings account, or HSAs. Basically, HSAs are triple tax advantage, meaning that contributions are tax-free, earnings are tax-free, and withdrawals that are used for qualified medical expense are also completely tax-free. Furthermore, when you're 65, you can begin making withdrawals from an HSA on a tax-deferred basis, just like an IRA. So you basically would pay any income tax on money you pull out and don't use for qualified medical expense, but it kind of works like another IRA in that regard. One caveat about HSAs is you must be enrolled in a high deductible health plan in order to participate or contribute to an HSA. High deductible health plans put more of the risk for medical costs on the shoulders of the insured persons. Just keep that in mind if you want to do an HSA. Another option is a taxable brokerage account, which doesn't really receive any special tax treatment. Anybody can contribute to these. There's no basically limitation on age, income, any of that stuff. So why would you want to do that though versus just saving in any old place? Well, the main thing is that any earnings in a taxable brokerage account, any capital gains, can be treated like long-term capital gains if they're held for at least a year. So if you think about it, if you own a stock and you say you buy it $100 and you sell it for $110 a year later. Well, if it's a long-term gain, you'll owe a capital gains tax. That's either going to be 0, 15, or 20% of your capital gain. And the capital gains tax for your tax bracket is always going to be less than your income tax bracket. So there's actually a savings. So your capital gain could potentially be 15% and your income tax bracket be 24 or 32%. That would give you, a 9 or 17% tax savings. Now, short-term gains are gains that are held for less than a year. When you sell those assets, that's going to be taxed regular income, so there's no advantage there. Okay, so wrapping up, yes, you can contribute to a traditional and Roth IRA, but you are limited to the cumulative IRA contribution amount for the tax year. Now, the good news is there are plenty of other options to save for retirement, so be sure you take advantage of those as best you can. And to help you do that, visit martinmoney.com. We have tons of information about all of these plans on our website. We'll put some links in the description below. We'll also have a link to the written form of this video post for you guys to follow and check out if you want to. As always, we're so thankful for your interest in our video. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for your time. God bless and take care.